Hello and welcome to the RTO Show. I'm your host, Pete Shau, and today's episode is to usher in the closing of the first RTO Legends series. This was a project created to preserve the stories of the people whose leadership, integrity, and commitment helped build this industry into what it is today. One of those people is Ernie Lewallen. Ernie was more than a store owner. He was a leader, an advocate, and an outstanding pillar to the rent-to-own industry, and over decades in this business, his influence extended far beyond the stores he operated. It lived in the people he mentored, the principles he defended, and the daily example he set. Ernie's leadership and love for this industry were a major inspiration behind the RTO Industry History Project, including this Legend series and the book release, The Rent-to-Own Revolution. Ernie passed away recently, and while he is no longer with us, it is important that his story, his impact, and his legacy continue to be told. What you're going to hear is a tribute to Ernie Lewallen and the mark he left on this industry. Let me tell you a little bit about Ernie. He was born on August 15, 1955 in Ashland, Kentucky. He got into rent-to-own in 1986 with UHR Rents, and once he was in, he was all the way in. For over 40 years, he built and grew the business the right way. Whether it was UHR Rents, United Household Rentals with RNR Tire Express, he gave 40 years of showing up, putting in the work, and doing it with integrity. But if you only knew Ernie as a store operator, you probably only knew part of the picture, because Ernie understood something that not every operator figures out, that the health of our business is tied to the health of the industry, and that if you care about one, you'd better care about the other. So he rolled up his sleeves and he got involved. He served on the APRO board of directors for over 20 years. He served 12 of those years on the executive committee. He was the APRO president from 1998 to 1999. He showed up to legislative conferences for 15 straight years, year after year, making the trip to Washington to make sure that lawmakers understood what this industry actually does for people. He was involved with the TRIB Group and the Ohio Renter-Dealers Association, and when APRO and the TRIB Group came together to build RTO World, which is the biggest event in our industry, Ernie was one of the people who helped make that happen. The industry recognized what he had to give. He earned the President's Award of Excellence in 1996, the Ernie Talley Lifetime Achievement Award in 2013, which he said was one of his proudest professional moments, the Steve Krause Award of Honor in 2025, and an induction to the APRO Hall of Honor. That's a career that speaks for itself. But here's what I really want you to know about Ernie Lewallen. He was passionate. He was opinionated in the best way, and he was generous with his time. He spoke his mind, and he meant what he said. The people who knew him often described him as someone who walked into the room and you knew he was there. Someone who made you feel like what you're doing mattered. Someone who was invested, and not just in the business, but in the people. Outside of RTO, Ernie was a husband of 48 years to his wife, Debbie, a devoted dad to 3 daughters, Heather, Heidi, and Hillary, a proud grandfather to 5 grandchildren. Ernie loved to travel. He loved road trips in a sports car, and he loved the Beatles at high volume. Now, look, I'll be upfront with you. I didn't know Ernie personally. I came to know him a lot of the way that you probably did. Through his achievements, through the way his name come across in conversations, and through the kind of respect people show when they talk about him. That kind of respect doesn't get manufactured. You either earn it or you don't. Ernie earned it. And when I set out to do this episode, I knew I wanted to be bigger than just me talking about him. Because the people who really knew Ernie, the ones who sat across from him in board meetings, who called him for advice, who watched him fight for this industry year after year, those are the voices that belong in this episode. So I put together a video. Friends, colleagues, fellow leaders, people who knew Ernie and wanted to share what he meant to them. I think that's worth every second of your time. Take a look.
The lights go down, and then the stage lights up, and there's an elephant. And Ernie is on top of the elephant. Listen, if you know Ernie, you know Ernie did not know normal.
Loud. His voice carried through a room when you knew if Ernie was in a room when you walked into the room.
Ernie was just somebody that in a crowded room you gravitated to him, and he was always rough on the exterior, but a teddy bear on the inside. And when there was a room and Ernie didn't know you, he would clear the people out of the way and go stick out his hand and shake it and give you a big bear hug and tell you who he was. And he would find out what you were interested in, and he would talk to you like there's nobody else in the room.
I think his lasting legacy will be APRO. Ernie was a key founder of that, and he was more passionate about that than he was his own business a lot of times. I mean, he poured his heart and soul into that.
In Washington, when we went on the meeting with our legislators, he was there, and he would explain and explain and explain what we were asking.
He would go to meetings that weren't his to help people. And he knew that some people would not be as schooled in the subject matter, and so he would go with them and he would help. Ernie clearly understood what the transaction was versus what the transaction was thought to be, and so he was very good in Washington.
Ernie was a true legend of the industry. He served as president of TRIB, he served as president of APRO, and he was always one that was willing to share his knowledge, his opinions too, just an all-around legend that really truly cared for the industry.
Believability. When he believed in something, there was no talking him out of it. There was absolutely not going to change. If he believed it, he was going to make it happen.
Ernie was told, don't touch it, it's just a prototype. And then the next thing you know, of course, he was the last one to go into the space, and then all the lights go off. When you tell Ernie not to do something, that was a license to do it.
And he just looked me in the face. He said, I don't want to, because I really feel like it's time for me. But I also don't want to do anything to hurt this industry or put anybody in a bad light. So I'm going to let you out of your commitment. I want you to change your vote on the next vote. And I thought that was just really big of Ernie to be the one. And he just said, if it's the right thing for the industry, he said, let's do it. And so we got it solved.
Well, the coolest thing was he was a big Beatles fan, and I walked in there to the first Beatles album with Meet the Beatles, except Ernie's picture was on it as well. He was the fifth Beatle.
He's a very vocal person, he's opinionated, but he's also kind, he's soft. He'll sometimes come back and he'll start off a little bit hard, and then he softens pretty easy.
Ernie represented his family extremely well, proud of his three daughters and his wife Debbie immensely. So he was a family man first, a God-fearing man for sure.
Ernie became our first official franchisee. And at that point, having Ernie on the team, previous APRO president, was a boon. I had no marketing budget. We had Ernie.
It changed the trajectory of my life, and I think his memory will forever be stamped in the rent-to-own, especially R&R.
He wrote the entire funeral. Who's talking here? Who's talking here? What songs were playing? It was a really beautiful celebration of life, and I think Ernie would have just been, in fact, I know he was happy.
Ernie, I know you're listening. Have a good old time up there. We'll see you another day.
Ernie, I'd like to say thank you for everything that you did for me throughout the years.
I think I would make certain that Ernie knew he made a difference.
Ernie, our industry is better having experienced your love and your passion. Everybody that had any chance to be with your friend is better having that opportunity.
I think great leaders, great dads, great husbands leave a giant hole when they leave. I think that Ernie is leaving a giant hole in his family. Save me a seat at the table on the other side, brother.
When I started this Legend series, the whole idea was pretty simple. Make sure these stories don't get lost. Make sure the people who built this industry get their moment. Because too often in an industry, the people who laid the foundation don't get nearly enough credit while they're still around to hear it. Ernie was one of those people. 40 plus years, thousands of customers served, dozens of industry leaders mentored, countless hours given to advocacy, to association work, to making sure his industry had a future worth showing up for. This is the last episode of the Legend series. And I think it ends exactly where it should, because Ernie Lewallen is exactly the kind of person this whole project was created to honor. We're going to miss him, and this industry is going to miss him a lot. But the good news, the real good news, is that the best legacies don't end. They just keep going through the people who carry them forward. Legends aren't defined by titles or years in the business. They're defined by the people they lift up, the standards they protect, and the example they leave behind. Ernie Lewallen's impact on the rent-to-own industry is not measured in just decades, but in relationships, leadership, and the countless lives he's influenced. His vision and commitment helped inspire the Rent-to-Own Revolution History Project, ensuring that the stories of our industry's pioneers are preserved, honored, and passed on. Ernie's legacy lives in the people he mentored, the businesses that he influenced, and the industry he helped shape. Thank you, Ernie Lewallen, for everything you gave Rent-to-Own. Have a great one.